storm today.
Is 24 feet. Rises and falls twice a day. So this is the Thames, and on the left, this is the Palace of Westminster, or the Houses of Parliament, the seat of our government. This is where the politicians pretend to do some work. And you can see they're doing a lot of repair work to it at the moment. And on the right-hand side is the famous clock tower with Big Ben inside it. You won't hear Big Ben for the next 4 years because, as you can see, they're doing all this repair work to it. Mind you, you might find them a bit difficult to pack in your bags. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Stick ones, they're watered automatically in the morning. Aren't they amazing? If you go in there and buy a pint of beer, it's worth checking the beer. When Charles and Diana were still together, they often used to come to this church because we're getting close to Kensington Palace. In the 18th century, there were body snatchers who used to dig bodies up to take them to surgeons to practice on. They were known as body snatchers, and these watching towers were designed to help stop them do that. You see that little structure on the left there with those towers? That's a watching tower. It's a lot bigger than a cottage. And if you just slow down, Alex, if you look to the left, you'll get a brief glimpse of it. It's not easy to see glimpses of it down this street, but some very nice houses down here. I mean, these houses will be millions of pounds here. Some will be divided into apartments, some will just be single residence, you can imagine. Yes, that is MI6, Ministry of Intelligence, Section 6. So, yeah, there's an invisible magnetic shield that goes all the way around it. So, you can't hack into any of the data inside it. No, it's absolutely true. Well, there's a car just gone inside it. That's the first time I've ever seen that gate open. There it is. They're redeveloping all of that down there. That's going to be a mixture of apartments, shops, offices. They're extending one of the London Underground's to it. She comes in, it's there. It is actually called the Sovereign's Entrance. That's where the Queen goes in. As soon as she's finished, she leaves. The crown she's wearing goes back to the Tower of London where it's kept. It does need an awful lot of work, as I said earlier. The roof is leaking, the stonework is crumbling in places. They've got lots of lead and asbestos in the basement rooms, which they've got to get rid of. Yeah, it is open to the public. You can go in, queue up. Now we're coming into Parliament Square. Came through here a bit earlier, named after the Houses of Parliament. On the left, little churches where Sir Winston Churchill got married, his statues on the right.
Pitching game.
the regular soldiers go out of London for some extra training, or maybe even some holiday. They need holidays like everybody else, so they can't leave the building unguarded.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Wow. Your enthusiasm is underwhelming. Let's try it again. Good afternoon!
Good afternoon!
Better, but not good. Welcome to Her Majesty Fortress and my home, the Tower of London. My name is Dave. I am one of the 37 yeoman warders here, or as we are more commonly known, beefeaters. And for the next 5.5 hours, I will be your guide. Now you're panicking. Now, for the next hour, we're going to wander around inside here, and I will point out some of these beautiful old buildings and explain a little of our fascinating history. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it was considered entertainment. The largest crowd ever recorded up there for a public execution, 110,000 people. Everybody having a fantastic day out, with the exception of one man. He was led from the tower here by 2 yeoman warders like me, taken up there onto Tower Hill and handed over to the sheriffs of London. He would then make his way up onto the scaffold to say his final words to the assembled crowd, before kneeling down to pray. Once finished his prayers, he would place his neck on a block of oak, and when ready to die, would raise his hand. At which point, the executioner would bring down his mighty axe, hopefully beheading his victim at a single stroke. The executioner would then pick up that severed and still bleeding head, to a mighty cheer from the assembled crowd. I can do louder on my own. Behind you there is Mint Street. That is where coins of England were designed and produced up until 1810. Now all of those buildings you can see used to house the Royal Mint, they are known as casemates. I know that because it says so up there. So if you're from the States, woo! You of course realise all of this history could have been yours. If only you paid your taxes on time. Now it's mine. Anyone here from Pennsylvania? Excuse me, do you have a teacher with you? Shut up! Does anybody not understand that? These men have paid a lot of money to be here, not listening to you. Excuse me. Right! Let's carry on! Where's those people from Pennsylvania? The garrison, you'll see they're led by the officer at the front with his sword, the sergeant of the guard, and 4 private soldiers, or riflemen as they're known. They're actually marching down to meet the chief yeoman warder, and he's going to give them the password for the next 24 hours. So in the next couple of minutes, they'll come back this way. So just do the same again, move forward and backward. Right! Let's do a photograph while we're waiting. Tower behind you, the Norman keep known as the White Tower, which is of course the largest of the how many towers? 20. Outstanding. Every other building you just move back half a page. Every other building you see around you was built to defend that, the oldest part of the Tower of London. Now in order for William the Conqueror, work began there in 1078. That took about 20 years to build, and when completed was one of the tallest buildings in Europe. That would have been seen for miles around, particularly in the 13th century when it was whitewashed, hence the name, the White Tower.
Black coffee, I'm in trouble. Black coffee, I see trouble. Man, I'm not gonna get home. Black coffee, I'm so dizzy. Black coffee, please get busy. Oh, nothing to get home. Black coffee, I'm in trouble. I'm so dizzy. Please get busy. Man, I'm not gonna get home.
We're about to walk on the bridge.
The bridge that by.
So how would you rate this bridge, Jay?
It's pretty solid foundation, really good bridge.
Solid.
Good material.
Right.
Look, next bow.
Here, so just point it. I know how to point. Alright, ready?
Yeah, I'm following. Get it right here.
Alright, right here.
Over here! Hey! Yes. Woo! Hey! Happy New Year!
Jay, I really appreciate you being a great guide during this whole trip, the first 2 days. You've been a really good boy.
You mean I just haven't been complaining the entire time?
Okay, okay.
So, we tried walking to the Supreme store, but it wasn't the Supreme store. It was technically the Supreme store, but not what we were looking for. It was a grocery store called Supreme. What is this supposed to be about?